Hey, what's going on, guys? It has been just a little while since I made a video. I haven't been doing a whole lot of hunting. All I've been doing is working down here in my shop. It's been just wide open. I was finished about mid-October from all my deer from last year. Right now, I am on deer, let's see here, 77. So, taking in 77 deer in the last 3 months. I thought I would make a quick video. I've had a few people asking me how I take in deer and kind of the process that I go through to get all this stuff organized. So I figured I'd take just a minute. I'm about to have to thin some hides, so I ain't got a whole lot of time, but I figured I'd take just a minute and show y'all what goes into getting all this stuff organized, at least what I do. If y'all got any better ideas or whatever, please let me know, because I'm always looking for, some kind of way to streamline my process. First, y'all can see this big pile of deer I've got down here. This is from today. I take in some days, especially today's a Tuesday. Yesterday was New Year's. So over the weekend, a lot of times people go hunting, they kill, they keep stuff in their freezer or whatever, bring it to me once they get back to work. And so usually Mondays, Tuesdays, best day of the whole week to get in stuff in my shop. So you can kind of expect that if you decide to do this for a living. What I do is show y'all this. When I take the deer in, I will use tape, either painter's tape or Scotch tape, and I'll put the number of the deer and the name on that tape. I do that for shoulder mounts. On the skull mounts, I use ear tags like you'd use on cattle. Put those on with a zip tie. You do not want to wire these on with a piece of wire, which is what I used to do. And I stuck myself in the finger one time, ended up with flesh-eating bacteria in my finger while I was working on my skulls. So you do not want to do that. At least the zip ties will not poke a hole in your finger. What that does is I've got all this stuff going on, as these are thawing or whatever, people bring me other heads. That reminds me not to cut the antlers off of that skull. If you do all this the same way, you get in a hurry, get to going, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, you done chop the skull cap off. And rather than having a skull mount, you all of a sudden have got some antlers and a skull sitting there that you're going to have to put back together again if you mess that up. I did that a long time ago, and I will not make that mistake again. So what I do then, once I've taken this deer in, put their name on the racks, the first thing that I do so that I don't forget that, nothing gets mixed up. Well, then I'll go to my book over here. You can buy forms that are similar than this. I just made this on an Excel spreadsheet myself. Each box is a different customer. I put the number of the deer that matches the deer on the rack over there that I put on there, then their name. I put the date that I took the deer in, their phone number, how much deposit that they leave, and then all of their information on that deer where they checked it in. On the description, I like to put the form that they want, the direction that they want it turned, and any other kind of notes I've got. If they need tines rebuilt, anything like that, I'll put that in this box right here. Along with, I will put an equals sign and how much the total is going to be. So for instance, if they want a shoulder mount and a plaque and a nameplate and all that stuff, I'll add up everything that they're going to owe in full, and I'll put that over here to the side. That way I can check with their deposit, see how much that they owe, how much is left. Now, once I have taken their deposit, some people want a receipt, some people don't care. I do keep a receipt book here just in case. And on occasion, if they do need one, I just write them a receipt. I'll put how much they've paid on there, how much they still owe, and I will sign it. And I'll keep a copy, give them a copy, keep that on file. Once these hides are thawed out, or assuming someone brings you one that is not yet frozen, when you cape the cape off of the skull, I'll cape it, I'll cut the antlers off, skull cap it, I'll clean that skull cap, borax it, go hang it up. It will already have the deer's number and the hunter's name on that rack. It'll go in my back there on the rack stand. The cape, I'll take it, roll it up head first, like I've showed you on some of the videos, starting at the nose, roll it up toward the back, put it in a garbage bag, get all the air out of it, roll it up and tie it. And I'll put one of these cards on here. One of these right here. I'll put one of those on there. It will have the number of that deer and the customer's name. Same thing that it's going to have on the rack. That will go into the freezer with the cape. So you've always got a number and a name that both match the rack and the cape. Used to, I did not put the name on there. It was just a number, and that works fine. assuming that you never overlap years or anything like that happens. I've had a couple of customers in the past that have brought me deer and then never did have a deposit, at least for 6, 8 months or so. Well, sometimes that will go from deer season to deer season. I don't mount deer unless I get my minimum deposit, but it doesn't bother me to keep somebody's cape here and antlers and stuff. If it's something that they want to mount and just don't have the money, some people end up in between different kind of hardships. They have emergencies. A lot of different stuff happens, and I'm not going to hold that against somebody if they don't have any room to store their deer, in the meantime. So what I'll do is, with that name and the number on there, like let's say they bring it and it's deer number 70. Well, the following year, if they still haven't given me a deposit or plan on paying me maybe after the next deer season or whatever, well, I might end up with another deer number 70 the following season. So you don't want to get those two capes mixed up when you've got two number 70s. That way the name being on that cape and on those antlers is very important. Now, let me show y'all what I do to the capes once I have taken them off, once I have fleshed them and salted them. This is what I do. Like these capes right here have just come out of my pickle bath. They've been in the pickle for about a week, and I'm about to do some shaving on these, get them thinned down. These right here were salted. They're getting rehydrated in some water. And as y'all can see right here, on the back of each cape, I've got a piece of plastic with a number on it, put on with a zip tie attached to that cape. Now you can buy Tyvek tags, like they're in the taxidermy supply book, where you can write down those numbers with a black Sharpie marker and you can attach it to your capes. Won't come off in your pickle and all that. What I do, I use milk jugs. You can see I've got a milk jug over here that we have saved, and I cut little bitty tags out of milk jugs. I've got a little pile of them in here that I've already cut in little pieces. And those milk jugs, a regular milk jug has got a little bit of a texture to it. And on the texture side and the smooth side, I found it works pretty well. You can write that number on there. It's got to be a black Sharpie to make sure that it's permanent. And once it dries, I'll punch a little bitty hole in the end of that cape, run me a zip tie through there and zip tie it to it. And you can salt it, you can pickle it. I'll shave it, put it back in the pickle and all, and those numbers never do come off. Now, I don't know about the Tyvek tags because I've never actually bought some of those and used them. But with the milk jugs and that black Sharpie, the tan, once you put the tan on it, that tan will dissolve that permanent marker. Sometimes it's still on there a little bit, you can read it. Sometimes it's hard to read it. So what I'll do is, I like to tan all my hides during deer season. Haven't mounted a deer yet this deer season. I'll tan everything. When deer season ends, I'll start mounting. So what I do, when I get these out, like today, I'm going to shave these capes. They'll still have that tag on them. Put them back in the pickle. In a few days, I'm going to pull it back out, neutralize it, and it'll be time to put the tan on. Well, when I go to do the tan, I'm going to get some more of these tags right here, like what I put on the cape to begin with. I'm going to put the number and the name on there again. I'm going to put tanned at the bottom of this, letting me know that this cape is ready to mount. Once I get the cape tanned, I'm going to put it in another garbage bag. It will be thinned, ready to mount. So it's going to be very, very small. Get all the air out of that, tie it, and that little bitty cape, I can put that tag on and put it in a freezer along with the other tanned hides. I keep them all together, and they take up very little room in the freezer once they're to that point. And that way you'll know which capes are tanned and which ones are not. But those milk jug pieces work really, really well and cost you, whatever a milk jug costs you if you're buying milk, drinking milk, orange juice, anything else. So that right there is a pretty good tip. Just make sure you wash them really good. With some good Dawn dishwashing liquid and stuff. You don't want to have any kind of film or anything on there. That marker may not stick very well. But you really want to make sure too, when you're tanning those, take these tags, and when I write the name and number on them, I'll take them and I'll set them either on top of that cape while it's tanning, or I'll put them in order to where I know which cape is which. Because when it gets done with that tan, you may not be able to read that anymore on those tags. So when it goes into that garbage bag, I've already got that tag ready to go on the bag, and it stays with that cape after it has got the tan on it so that you don't get all those things mixed up. As you can see in here, I've got all these racks hanging. These have all been boraxed. I've got them in order, starting at the end. It'll be 1 through, 77. They all stay in order so that I know where the racks are at, whose is whose. And these old freezers, like all these are my tanned hides. All these have got to be fleshed and tanned. Now, one other thing, the way that I do my mounting process, y'all may have heard me talk about this on some other videos. When I take in a deposit, I do a $250 minimum deposit for me to get started on it. Well, then once whatever they pay toward the paid in full amount, that is the order in which that I mount the deer in. So if somebody brings me the full amount, whether it's $500 or $800 or whatever it is, paid in full puts you up front behind the last person that paid in full. If somebody pays me $400, the next person that pays me $400 gets put behind the last person that paid $400, so on and so forth. What that does is it allows people who want to get their deer back just a little bit sooner, they can pay up front to help their deer be a little bit further up in line. The people that do not care can pay the minimum, whatever, it takes a little bit longer, or they can pay me in payments and get moved up a little bit each time that they pay in payments. But when you're doing this full time, doing this for a living, you cannot afford to allow people to do what they want as far as paying you. As much as I hate that, I wish that you could just trust everybody to do whatever, they needed to do, but that is not the case at all. Even some of your best friends, some of the people that you know the best, sometimes they are the worst when it comes to paying you in a very, very reasonable amount of time. People tend to forget that just because you trust them, that you don't still have bills to pay. So, I've got a lot of good friends of mine that I know are going to pay me for their deer. But if they do not bring me enough money, they're not going to get put in front of somebody else just because you got bills coming in. You've got to pay those bills. So, if I get in 150 deer heads and all I take are minimum deposits, well, a minimum deposit of $250 doesn't even cover all of my cost and the cost for my shop, all my bills and everything. So I can't, if I just took a minimum deposit on every deer that I had, I wouldn't even be able to buy the stuff for all those deer without having another job. It's impossible. So you've got to have cash flow. Cash flow is king, and you have got to have cash flow if you're going to operate a business. The way I've been doing it, everybody seems to love it. I love it, especially because by this time of the season, I can already, y'all look in this room right here. This is what it creates for you as a taxidermist. Y'all see this? See all them forms? I'm able to go, because of the deposits that I've gotten in and the people that have paid in full, I'm able to go ahead, order all of this stuff, go pick it up, or have it delivered to the house, wherever I'm getting the forms from, and I can get all this stuff while the companies still have got plenty of product, before everybody's short on supplies. I've got all my eyes, I've got all my ear liners to mount all of those deer. Everything is here. Got more ear liners down here on the floor, and I don't have to worry about supplies. So by the time I get ready to start mounting these deer heads, I can start mounting 10 a week, and I don't have to worry about being out of anything. Everything is already here. I've already got all my glue. I've already got everything that I need. So it's very beneficial for a taxidermist, for one thing, but then for the customers, they also can get their deer back just a little bit sooner because they're not waiting on you to get supplies for them. So then once I have everything at the house and all that stuff's already here, I think I've already ordered enough to do 50 something deer heads. So, out of 77, I've got 50 something already here ready to go. And all of those have already paid in full. The great thing about that is it gives me a very good look into the future of how much money I'm going to need for my bills, how much money I'm going to need for these other deer heads, and I can start to plan around what I need to do monthly for my bills and stuff, because I'll probably get in, I'll at least double the amount of heads I've got in right now between now and say July. I'll probably get in at least another 70 to 80 heads. So the good thing is once I get in those next 20 to 30, every single mount that I've got will already be paid for. And then the ones after that will pay my bills on through the next, the rest of the year, the rest of those months. So it's just looking out for yourself. You've got to do that if you're going to run a profitable business or just run a business in general. I wouldn't be able to do this for a living if I did not do it the way that I did. Got a few things coming up in the next few months too that I cannot wait to tell you all about. just as soon as I get a little bit of things ironed out and get a little bit more information. If y'all are a taxidermist, y'all got any kind of suggestions or any kind of advice, please let me know, because I'm always willing to learn something a little bit different. Any way to streamline this, make it a little bit easier, a little bit more, or a little bit less complicated. And maybe y'all could learn something from me in this video. And if y'all got any questions or comments, please ask down in the comments below, and I'll try to work that out. Or any of the guys watching this, may see your comment and may have an answer for you also. Really appreciate y'all watching. Thanks so much for last year and all of the great response that I got from my channel from last year. It's been an awesome year. But guys, we will see y'all in the next video.